I'm Steve Campbell with Rental Management, and I'm joined by John McClelland. He is the ARA's Vice President for Government Affairs and Chief Economist out in Washington, D.C. And we're discussing ARA's National Legislative Caucus, which is coming up March 28th through 30th. So, John, let's get right into it. This is the first time caucus is happening since 2019. How does it feel to be back to it out on Capitol Hill next week?
Well, I'll tell you, Steve, 3 years is a long time not to be at it on Capitol Hill with our usual caucus and, having a lot of ARA members come in and go to Capitol Hill and talk about the issues that are important to us. So, frankly, it feels great to be getting back. It's a little nerve-wracking, but I think we're ready, and I think it's going to be a terrific caucus.
What are the topics that will be discussed this year? I know in years past, maybe there's one or two key points. Will that be changing this year? What will everyone be focusing on?
Yeah, that will be changing a little bit this year. We've sort of remade caucus. Having 3 years off did give us an opportunity to think about what we had been doing and maybe what we wanted to do. And so we are going to have a few more issues this year than we normally have. We've got four that we're really going to talk about. One of them in general is taxes, and of course, full expensing is a big issue there, as well as the 2025 expiration of deductions that affect small businesses that are set up as pass-through entities like an LLC or an S Corp. We are going to talk about the H-2B visa issue, which is very important to a number of our event members because there's a real labor shortage out there right now. We're going to be talking about workforce development, again, because there's a labor shortage out there, but particularly skilled folks, truck drivers, mechanics, tent installers, people like that are in need. And the one issue that we actually have a couple bills on Capitol Hill that are out there, and we're going to be working to get more members of Congress to support, have to do with catalytic converter theft. We've had an enormous amount of catalytic converter theft over the last few years, and it's getting worse. And there are a couple of bills up on Capitol Hill that will actually make it a federal crime, and also have requirements such as putting identifying marks on the catalytic converters that can link them back to the vehicle and the vehicle VIN number. So these are things that I think can have a real impact on our industry, and so we're going to work very hard to move the needle on all of those issues, frankly.
Very important issues to the industry for sure. And then with those topics, will there be anything else that's different with caucus compared to the last time it happened in 2019?
Yeah, well, that's a great question, Steve. I'm not sure how many people know this, but a couple of years ago, we decided to split the Government Affairs Committee into two advocacy work groups that are segment focused. So we have an equipment advocacy work group and we have an event advocacy work group. And that grew out, frankly, from the pandemic, because we had some issues that were very focused on the event segment because they were the ones that were hit really hard. Whereas the equipment segment had a little bit of downtime at the beginning of the pandemic, but then they recovered very quickly after construction was deemed an essential activity. And so we realized that we needed to focus on each segment individually and to try to sort those issues out and really advocate on those. So like H-2B visa, that issue is not especially relevant to the equipment side. It's really relevant to the events side, and that's a good example of an issue that is segment specific. So we will be having a number of our members who are in the events segment will be up advocating specifically on that issue. And so we have people who are designated to go out and do the tax meetings, go out and do the H-2B visa meetings, go out and do the workforce development meetings, and everybody will be doing catalytic converter meetings. That's across the board. But so we're doing it a little bit differently than just having people from states come in, make appointments with their state representatives, and then go up and just visit them. There will be people who will be going to meetings that are with members of Congress that aren't necessarily from their states, but they are going to be part of a team taking the issue to those offices. Although the lead person in almost every instance will be somebody from the state where the member of Congress is representing.
With those changes, do you think that the people involved will allow for more specific conversations, more pointed conversations with the legislators?
Yes, I absolutely do. I absolutely do. And one of the things that we always tell everybody about going up to caucus is to tell their story. You know, tell your own story. What's going on in your business? And I can tell you on catalytic converters, for example, folks have a lot of bad stories, but also on H-2B visas, they have a lot of really difficult stories. We've had members tell me, I'm booking business now, and whether I got the labor to fulfill that business next summer is going to depend on a random lottery. How is that a good way to run a business? But unfortunately, that's what they're dealing with right now. So yeah, I think that people have a lot of this stuff is very close to the bone for them, and they are ready and raring to go to talk about this and to talk about the need for congressional action on a number of these fronts.
Well, I know we look forward to hearing about it, and I know you're excited to get back to Capitol Hill with ARA members, and we'll have a lot of coverage in rental pulse and rental management coming up. And John, good luck next week, and we look forward to hearing about it.
Well, thanks much, Steve, and thanks for having me on today. And we really look forward to having caucus again and getting ARA back in the game.